And we're excited today to talk to Michael, the owner of CrossFit Downtown Atlanta. How are you, good sir?
I'm well. Thank you for asking. Thanks for having me on.
That's good. And joined also by my ever reliable co-host, Tony.
I
He
might
needs
be
no
reliable,
introduction.
but my internet is not reliable. So
It's going to be a wild ride today.
fuck.
So that's how we're starting today. That's going to be great. So we thought this is a good chance to have you on, Michael.
Okay.
Talk a little bit about your history in the space and your all things CrossFit and your thoughts on the affiliate landscape and what you guys are doing there at Downtown Atlanta.
All right.
Tony, do you want to lead off?
Well, I can't tell if I'm going to freeze or not. And this is really unfortunate because I was very excited about this podcast episode. So we might end up doing another one of these, Michael. Just a spoiler here.
All right. Well, this is usually a good time for me. So 1:30 most days, I'm available for something.
Yes. Yep. So I wanted to bring you on here. I don't know if I'll stall in here, and I'll probably stall with a stupid face, but it's okay. I wanted to bring you on, obviously, because I have a lot of experience with you, both working with you, but also from the seminars. But I think the more fun thing to talk about is how unique your gym is. A lot of people have been there for seminars, no doubt about it. But the one thing that is very cool about the actual city, but the gym, is how you set it up and how you survived COVID. So I do want to talk about that part. But I think let's just get into the backstory and all the fun stuff before we talk about how good you are at gymnastics.
All right. So, where do you want me to start?
At the beginning.
At the beginning. All right. So I kind of found my way into affiliate ownership by accident. I don't know how do I do this? So in college, I was a store manager, and then I was also a high school wrestling coach for 12 years. So that's kind of was my intro into coaching, and then the store manager part will come back around in a second. Once I got out of college, I started to become a consultant, and things became a little bit harder for me to manage coaching and my career at the same time. So unfortunately, I had to put my passion for coaching to the side as I pursued a career in consulting. When that happened, I started to kind of lose my ability to stay in shape, and I was looking for something that matched my experience as a wrestler and a wrestling coach. And that's what brought me to CrossFit. And I actually accidentally started at this gym before it was called CrossFit Downtown Atlanta. It was originally called CrossFit on the Move. And I joined on a Groupon because, I just thought like CrossFit, it sounds cool, but it's expensive. So I joined on a Groupon, and it was great. And I couldn't believe what I had missed. So I started there in 2011, ended up leaving that gym, which is this gym, about 2 months later, just because I was a consultant. They wanted me to sign a contract, and I couldn't because I traveled all the time. But I learned that I really loved this style of training from that gym. And so continued on with that. Then about 3 years later, 2014, I'd really gotten into marathoning, but I'd hurt myself running. And I really started to rely heavily on running as my method of training. So I couldn't do that. And one of my friends was wearing a CrossFit Downtown Atlanta shirt. And my kids, our kids went to school together. We were at this school social for the parents, and she was wearing that. I'm like, hey, tell me about that place. So she did, and I came in. It turned out it was the same gym I had belonged to before, the same box, just with new ownership and a rebranding. So I joined. It was great. And then that was January of 2014. And in March of 2014, I lost my job. So I just done my first open. I was really into this. And then March comes around, I lose my job. And I was like, shit, sorry, I swore. But I have to quit the gym. So I got off my firing call, drove to the gym, and said, hey, after this class, I have to quit because I don't have any money. And the owner said to me, well, don't quit. I think let's do the workout, and afterwards we'll talk, and maybe we can help each other. And a year and a half later, I accidentally bought the gym. I really just started. She's like, hey, maybe you can help me out. I could use some help around here. I didn't even have my level 1 at the time, but I had a lot of experience coaching. I wasn't coaching at first, but then I started with helping out, got my level 1, started looking at her numbers. And then we started talking about, because the gym was not doing well. And I didn't realize this because as a member, you just never know. But the
Right.
gym was not doing well. So I started looking at numbers, and she was in a position where there was a lot of things that she was having to balance as a single mom with 3 kids under the age of 10 and trying to run the business. And she was having a hard time doing all these things together, but was really passionate about it, but just couldn't figure out how to do it all together. So we started working out ways where she said, hey, I think this is going to work really well. Maybe we could partner. And she thought maybe you can take over most of the ownership. And then it just settled on. It's like, how about I work here and I just sell it to you? And she's still a member of the gym and still about to start being a coach again. But like October 1st of 2015, I took over ownership, and here we are. We've moved locations one time, and I don't think I'll ever look back.
When did I first meet you?
Probably 2016, 2017 would have been the first gymnastics seminar. I could probably look that up real quick.
Yeah, I think it was. It could have been 2017. I don't remember if I did the first one that you guys did or not. I might have, but I'm pretty sure I did not do that one.
You've done all of them with the exception of 2.
Sounds about right.
one was Chuck, and the other one was Sean. The last one was Sean.
I'm so special. I like it. One of the cool things about the affiliate model that it's worth protecting is we talk about a lot on the podcast is, protecting the individuality of it. And there's definitely something to be said about the individuality of the gym behind you. Maybe it's worth you expanding on what you did during COVID and how that resulted in the way that the gym flows now. I don't know if anybody can see what's actually happening behind him, but it's actually one of the coolest setups, I think, for my OCD.
Wow.
All right. So it's actually just changed recently a little bit, where way it is set up is that there are 14 individual gyms, essentially. There's stations, but every station is a fully outfitted gym. And the weights in the station. So every station has got a bike, a rower, a squat rack, a pull-up bar, wall ball targets, rings, low rings, high rings, a rope, a full set of plates, full set of barbells, full set of kettlebells, dumbbells, and wall balls, D balls, and slam balls. I don't think I'm missing anything there. And foam rollers, ab mats, things like that. So again, it's basically a fully formed gym. The weights will be modified based on the height of the pull-up bar. So the higher pull-up bars have the heaviest weights in them. Typically won't have women's RX. The lowest pull-up bars won't have men's RX. And then we have pull-up bars that are kind of mid-range that have a selection of both. Obviously, if you're a 7-foot woman or a 4-foot man, we make an adjustment for you. But on the averages, that works pretty well. So that way, when everybody comes in, we just say, hey guys, we're doing pull-ups today. So find the pull-up bar that's there. Or if we're doing wall balls today, still find the pull-up bar that fits you best. And then we'll go from there. It really helps with transition time, as far as it gives us a lot more time to coach and teach, so you don't have people over at the wall balls just scanning the wall, looking for their favorite wall ball that has the one like drawing on it or something. And also with weight, think about weight. So how much time do we lose people getting their bars out and rolling their weights across the room and then putting their weights away before the Metcon starts? Like every station, if you look at, I don't know if you can see this.
Field trip.
Get it close. Field trip. Unfortunately, it's my webcam, but every station has got a full set of plates. I don't know if you can see that over there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So full set of plates. So all of your plates are there unless you, for some reason, are deadlifting somewhere over 315. If that's the case, then we'll have to borrow weights from somebody else. And on 1 rep max days, when we do that, we have plenty of weights for that to happen, because typically not everyone in the gym is that strong.
He calls them workstations. I call them dens of iniquity. That's what they all are.
I like it too. The gym has the gym is kind of what's it called? Nicknamed the Michael Squares.
Yeah, I could see that because of Michael Squared, because he's basically got 2 first names.
Yeah.
I mean, they are basically like little cages.
Yeah. I think of it like
live inside your bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we talked about this on your call earlier this week, I think, but each one of those cages is not cheap. That's a lot of money in there. I'm sure anybody who just heard that story was like, that seems like $7 to 10 grand in equipment in those cages. And the answer is probably yes.
And the reason it started, a couple of things. We were doing squares even before, because we always had class caps, because I came to the realization one day that if there's 30 people in the 430 class and 2 people in the 530 class, I bet you half the people from 430 could have gone, never occurred to them to sign up for the other class, because there was never a requirement there. So we already capped our classes, and then that just spread people out, so everybody has a better experience. You're never hurting cats, and you never have a scenario where there's kind of low or less times you'll have low energy. But then I was thinking, well, if we already know how many people are coming into class every day, why do we have to figure out where everybody goes every time they have a barbell? So we created squares on the floor, and then we labeled them. And then there was a spot on the rig that would coordinate to the square. So when the rig was up on the wall, even before we did this, our members were already used to saying, okay, if I'm working out here, that's the spot on the rig that I go to. And it just, again, it all flows much better. And if you don't, anytime you can systemize something, it saves you time in the long run.
For sure.
So when COVID happened, and they had told us that if you look at somebody for too long, you'll kill them, I was like, well, I want everybody to be safe, and I want them to feel safe while they're here. So when we started coming back to the gym, I really felt uncomfortable having people pass each other back and forth, going from their square to the rig. So I just started with the corner and just tore down the rig and just started building from one corner out until, you have what you see here.
It's amazing.
And so for COVID, we had systems in place where, like, all the squares were 10 by 10 with like a 4-foot moat. And, if you were in your square, you didn't have to wear your mask, but you also had to always face towards the middle of your square. Again, a lot of these things ended up being nothing. But at the time, I remember walking around the grocery store and just thinking, like, guys, kids, don't touch anything. I remember I just listened to a podcast maybe a month ago that happened during the beginning of the pandemic. I was listening back to one, and the person because it just happened. And I remember her saying to the host, she said, you got to be careful because the virus lives on metal for 10 days. The stuff they were telling us was insane, but I was terrified. Yeah. But I also wanted to keep everybody safe. So I figured erring on the side of I'd rather be wrong going that direction than wrong going the other direction.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure it's nothing, and then everybody dies. I'd rather really go over the top and everybody get a workout and it just cost me something versus, and then we're the super spreader that killed everybody.
Don't use that word, the super spreader. So much PTSD wrapped up in that.
I know, right? Yeah.
In Australia, they would list all the places that had caused an outbreak, and I was like,
an outbreak.
Our name is never going on that list. We're never going to be on that list. It's like I heard other gyms. I'm like, we are not going on that list. So my guys loved the little squares, and they had their own barbell and their weights. And even when we ripped the squares up post COVID, people would come into class and still go into that sort of spot. They just they just love their little box.
What's pretty funny too is that the first square I set up was in a station that I knew. There was one member, one of our a longtime members. Her name is Helen, and she always worked out in the same spot. no matter what. So I built the gym around that spot.
That's funny.
That's awesome.
And he's been building that gym ever since, because he literally was doing it all last weekend as well.
Yes. Yeah. So I finally I'm always, whenever I do something like this, I'm always thinking about what is the next best way. And so in this case, as soon as I set it up, I was like, there's definitely a better way. So now what it was we had like 3 rigs down the middle and you had separation. So now I've just changed it so that the stations are kind of closer to each other. It's hard to describe how I changed it without seeing it, but it's definitely, I just reorganized the whole thing so that everything's more open, but also keeps what made it special. You know, we still have the ability, we still have everyone having their own station, but we still now have more space to operate and have a little bit more flexibility with how we program.
And how many people say that their pet peeve in a class is someone jumping on their pull-up rig or grabbing their barbell or their kettlebell? It's like that takes all of those pet peeves like right out of the conversation.
Oh yeah,
it's great.
It's not a thing here. So it's at our gym, like that just doesn't happen, because once you have your pull-up bar, you have your pull-up bar.
Yeah, that's it.
I think whether it's right or wrong, or whether it's set up or not correctly, that's discernible to anybody who does it. I could say that you were one of the first seminars that I did post the time that shall not be named. And I had done seminars there prior to said time. And walking in, everything was weird back then, like we were just discussing. And I remember walking in and being like, what in the fuck is this? But at the same time, I was like, it's fucking genius. That's what this is. And I loved it from the beginning. Definitely, I'm sure it comes with its fair share of struggles. No doubt about it.
Yeah, I will say, because we do host level 1, level 2s as well. And that's been more of a challenge. What I have done to accommodate that was I would take down a rig. So every time I know there's a seminar coming, one of the rigs would just come down. I'd put it in our spare room. And so that we have this giant whiteboard over here. And so there was a rig right in front of it. See where that X is?
Yeah.
There was a rig right there that kind of went all the way this way, down the middle. And so I would take down part of that rig so that we would have the space for the classroom. Mm-hmm. Now with the new layout, the rig's on either side, and I don't have to do that anymore. So I think HQ is going to be a lot happier with how seminars happen here now.
I mean, it doesn't matter how perfect the gym is. Seminars are always a challenge. So I'm sure it'll be something else one way or another. But I think having, as a seminar instructor, it certainly interferes with your flow, right? You're like, I don't know what to do with my hands when you walk in there. But I think there's inherent value in it. And I guess that's really one thing that I wanted to talk about on that forced discomfort, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because the point of this podcast is obviously to tell as many stories as possible of affiliate owners. But the thing that we believe in that makes the affiliate special is that they're all individual, right? They're independent, they're unique, and they must be protected for that individuality, not just their ability to do constantly varied functional movements at high intensity. And I think your gym, particularly the layout of the gym more than anything, is one of those things that's like a very visceral experience when you walk in, because I think everybody knows every gym is different, right? But like there's a sense of uniformity and familiarity. And then when you walk into one where there's not that, like yours, it's very upending, right? You're just like, whoa. How people at first might be like, this feels unfamiliar and people don't like change. So what has it been like rolling that out to the people? How receptive have the humans been with it?
Members have been totally receptive. And also it's interesting. They're the people who, it's every now and again, we've had a person come in and try us out and they just can't wrap their head around it. And that's fine. It's like they are used to, first of all, not being coached. and then also having like carte blanche when they walk in, just doing whatever they want. So with this setup, also there's a structure that gives freedom if you are willing to accept it. But when you're in your station and we have everything set the way it's supposed to go, you don't have to think about if you're going to hit somebody or if you're going to move somebody. But there are some people who try out the gym who's like, hey, no, I like to set up my barbell diagonally from everybody else, and I like to do certain things like this. And this is not going to be the gym for them.
Mm-hmm.
So those people had a hard time with it. But the people, for the most part, it takes away some decision fatigue from people. I don't know if you're familiar with that concept, but it's like everybody spends all day having to make decisions at their job, with their family, with their work. And when they come in here, the less decisions they have to make, the happier they'll be when they leave, because they just come in here to get the workout in. So we come in, not only we tell them what the workout is, how to do it, also, hey, where you're going to stand, where your pull-up bar is. You don't have to think about anything. And so again, there are those who are used to walking in and just setting up wherever they want, stealing someone else's pull-up bar, warming up on someone else's barbell because they don't want to load their own bars with different weights. And this isn't the gym for them, but for the vast majority of people who've come in, and for our members who believe in this gym and trust me that they've loved it.
Yeah.
And this latest iteration, everyone liked it before, they were worried, and now they're really happy. I did have to remove one station, so we had 15 before. This new iteration only gives us 14, but honestly, our average is about 10 people per class. So we have 9 classes a day. So we will hit that cap, that upper limit, from time to time. Actually, we're closer to 12. And then now I think about it, because the evening classes are almost always full. But the one station being gone hasn't made a difference.
For sure.
It's actually made it's made losing one station has actually added a lot of freedom of movement that wasn't there before.
I like it. I think
Nice.
if I think back to like seminars, particularly for me, not so much at your gym, one of the most impactful moments was going international, right? And you get dropped in this foreign country on assignment to go teach this seminar. And at first glance, you're like, this is just like every other seminar. And then you get there and you realize you cannot use your words, right? And it forces you to all of a sudden panic first and foremost. But thank goodness you have a translator. But the other side of it is it forces you to reconsider and rethink. And something that I think is so overlooked and so undervalued by so many people is that ability to rethink, right? Thinking fast and slow, kind of to that Nathan Kahneman's book. But it's that sort of reference and in that sort of concept, I think is so unique about the gym, because it does force a lot of people, instructors or visitors, to come in and be like, this doesn't feel normal. But that in itself, I think, is so powerful, because I think one of the most important skill sets of developing coaches, also affiliate owners, and anybody who is responsible for other people, is essentially, your ability to think again, must rethink, so to speak, but most importantly, to think critically. And I think inside that, what you have there is, I know that wasn't the point, was to get everybody that comes in there to think critically, but to get them to be like, the thing that I've done millions of times can be done very, very differently. And now I know it to be true because I can see it very viscerally in this example.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And who knows how much I just cut out while I said that. But.
No, we got all of you.
That time you were good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. No, and I think that part is really kind of cool. But I also think what is unique about it is that you built the gym, you redesigned the gym. I wouldn't say built the gym for the exact opposite purpose, right? So you didn't obviously build those dens of iniquity to make all your clients and all of your coaches have to think critically all the time and get people to have to overthink. Like you were just saying, you did it intentionally to improve the service by reducing the decision fatigue and improving, all the other things that become a part of it. And I think that part is very valuable. Oh, I can't even talk today, but also worth discussing, because that's the part that so many people don't understand, is that a lot of affiliate owners And well, you know this a little bit more than you, I suppose, but a lot of affiliate owners have no idea what they're doing. No doubt about it. And that's okay. We all got to learn somehow.
Yep.
So when they look around, they all find a way to emulate each other. And there's no real consideration as to whether or not the thing you're emulating is probably advisable to be emulating. And I think having gyms that are icons in the community, like downtown Atlanta, where so many people have descended to for their L1, their L2, TGC seminars, et cetera, and to get to see that is really sort of one of those real demonstratable things that, like, wow, every affiliate really fucking is very different. I can do mine however I want. I don't have to be the same as the one down the street. And I hope the people who do visit leave with that freedom, that sort of responsibility.
Because I definitely started off when I took over, just like, well, I don't know. I've only ever seen it done the way it was done. And so I would do things at first because that's how I'd seen them done. And then it was experience of saying, okay, this head coach that I've inherited, it's the only thing I've ever seen done, but now I'm starting to realize that I have to make a change here, and I can't have him yelling at clients because he's having a bad day. Here's an example. I saw double my entire life until I was 18. I didn't know I saw double because I only saw one way. And so I finally went to an eye specialist, and they're like, oh, like you see two of everything? I was like, let's start working on your eyes. And then I started to see the world through like the way everybody else does. But up until that point, I didn't know that everybody didn't see two images of everything they saw. Like crazy, right? Yep. But same kind of thing. I only knew that this is how a coach coached classes until I started to think, wait, there's got to be a better way than that.
For sure. Go ahead, Lisa. Were you gonna say something? I feel like I've cut you off.
No.
And if there was a way, and I don't know the way to do it, but I do think that is a piece of the affiliate journey that is so profound and needs to be told so much more. And it's the thing that we seek to do with what we call the affiliate defense model, which is have all of you guys as clients defend what makes your gym unique, right? And like what I think is interesting about this is it's very simple for someone like yourself to articulate truly what makes downtown Atlanta different, because like you live it, it's physical, it's tangible, it's right there, right? And I think a lot of people, when we say things like, you know, what makes your gym special, what makes your gym different, you know, they think that like they have to come up with these crazy, weird sort of things, semi-esoteric, right? They're like, I don't know, we wear tutus on Tuesdays. I'm like, no. I mean, if that's your thing, so be it. But it can be something as, I wouldn't call it simple, but something as tangible as that, like, our gym just is different because we built all these cages, right? And no matter what, you walk into all of those affiliates, no matter whether they're wearing tutus on Tuesdays or they have, you know, cages set up, like people are still getting fit, and that's the whole point.
Yeah. Bad CrossFit still works.
Really, really, really well. In fact, substantially better than anything else, even when done poorly.
Yeah.
But I think if we could get more affiliate owners to be a little bit more like yourself, you know, right? And obviously you have your own problems to work through as well, but there's freedom that comes in that individuality, right? You said it in the beginning, and I think it's worth revisiting and unpacking, which is that some people come in and fucking hate it, right? They can't wrap their head around it. But if you the power that you have and the ability to say, you're just not a good fit here, then is not only easier for you because it's about something that's physical, tangible, and literally unchangeable. I mean, I guess in theory you could change the whole gym for a person, but you wouldn't do that, right? And the reason why I wanted this podcast to come together is this conversation, right? It's like, for you created physically, tangibly a different CrossFit able to experience, which means people are going to come in and they're going to dislike it. And like you said, some people walk right back out the door, and you have no choice but to say, sorry, hey, there's other gyms down the street, right? And I think the thing that people need to understand is that while in your case it's about equipment and equipment design, it's a bigger conversation than that, because every single affiliate needs to be able to and should be able to do the exact same thing, but based on their values and what makes them unique. They don't necessarily need to change the way their gym is designed, but like if you know who you are and that thing is undeniable and it's as rigid for you as like, say your equipment racks are, or like, then it's unchangeable. And this is the part where it gets so hard as an affiliate owner, because every person that comes in, an adaptation, a change to the model for all of them. They become malleable. And then, after a handful of consults, you're like, who am I? Right. And so for you, that's not necessarily the case in so many ways, because you can't always move the pull-up rig.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much that you guys got. Everybody looks very confused in the face. So
got most of it. I'll say I can't always move the pull-up rigs, but I choose not to.
This is true. I mean, I guess you do move them for the L2s and L1s, but
not anymore. That's some freedom I just gave myself.
This is true. Good for you. It's not a good use of your time, but I think that part is important, right? And we talk about this all the time on the podcast about individuality, what makes gym special, and I think it gets lost on them. I think that what they think is that we're talking about, we're in a very interesting political climate now where everything is very politicized and, cultures are very strange and very reactive and all these things. And so I think because of the timing of that, when you talk about things like mission and whys and vision and values, I think it tends to like roll off their back a little bit more now than otherwise, because they think that we're talking about, like, when we say things like core values, I think that they think about them whimsically, right? Or even emotionally, and they can be very emotional, and they should be. You should care about them. But something as simple as a language barrier changes the way your gym has to run, right? If, let's say, you open an affiliate in an area of town that is massively Spanish speaking, and you don't speak English or you don't speak Spanish, you don't have a say in how that gym is going to run. So like that makes your gym special, right? That makes a lot of opportunities in the things that people are otherwise viewing as adversity. And, you obviously use something like the P word there, that time that won't be named, to your advantage to obviously redesign the gym. But your brain works in this function. I've known you long enough through enough seminars to know that your brain very much works in structure and strategy and efficiency. And it was the perfect storm. But that's what makes downtown Atlanta. Like, very much undeniably. And that's why I think people do, when they do experience it, they do love it or they do hate it. But it's so much easier for you to stand on it. And I just hope that other people, as rigid to them as your pull-up rig is.
I missed that last part. Other people are as rigid as our pull-up rig? Sorry.
Yeah, as rigid as my Wi-Fi is.
Yes.
Which happens to be very unrigid at the moment. I'm going to throw my router out the window, but I don't think it's my router at all. Thought I had this sorted. Anyway, so you've done a lot of seminars at the gym. People love the gym. What else do you think is uniquely downtown Atlanta besides the rig? Plural.
Well, I mean, coaching and community. Those are the throwaway answers for every affiliate, right?
Yeah.
But you come to the 5:30 a.m. class, your experience is going to be very similar to the 7:15 p.m. class. Although we have different coaches, we have it's all structured. There's going to be individual flair, but when you come into the class and we're doing pull-ups, there is a pull-up progression that we'll do with every class. There's a barbell progression. Every time you pick up the bar and it's a clean or a snatch or a deadlift, the coaches all take everybody through essentially the same progression in each class. It's never, hey guys, we are doing pull-ups and cleans. You got about 5 minutes before I start the clock. I'll be right back. It's never going to be like that here. It's always, regardless of your skill level or anything, we take everybody through some version of a Bergener warm-up when we're doing Olympic lifting. We take everybody through some version of creating tension from the ground with deadlifts. Take everybody through some version of warming up their shoulders with the rings, with the low rings and high rings if we're doing kipping pull-ups or we're doing ring muscle-ups. You're going to get that. You're going to get different a different flavor, like someone's personality spin will be different on that, but it's consistent. So it's not like, hey, the morning coach told me that this is the way to do it, and the evening coach said that that's wrong. That's definitely never going to be the case here, because you do have a unified voice from the coaching staff. I don't know if that's unique to us, but it's something I pride ourselves on. And our level of training is pretty high as well. It's the advantage of hosting seminars. You know, I put everybody through them, and I try to also, if I've used up all of my comp spots, I'll try to get a discount on further spots, so I can just put people through them, because I think it's important to have them not only knowledgeable but credentialed.
I can say to the best of my knowledge, you are the world record holder for a number of times through the gymnastics seminar. I'm not sure anybody has attended it or sat through it more times than you have. It's probably one of the reasons that we're such good friends. Must be something.
Yeah. I appreciate that, especially that you consider me as someone you would consider a friend.
Well, you've eaten cheeseburgers with me. What more can I ask for? All that matters.
That's true. But it's kind of like helping. It's just like helping somebody move. Like once you've had cheeseburgers together, you're definitely friends. Yeah.
It's always fun for me when I have a lot of experience with the affiliate owner, but it's also fun for me when I have none, right? Like a lot of the people who do end up on here as guests, no doubt I have personal relationships with, or I've had experience with. So it makes it a little bit easier, because when you guys are talking about things in my mind, they make complete sense. But that's also one of the hard parts of this podcast, is conveying, to people who have no context and no, idea really as to how things work there, what makes you so special and why you're on this podcast. I mean, sure, like you're an affiliate client, that gets you on the podcast, but really, even if that wasn't the case, the physical demonstration of the individuality of the affiliate, I think, is so vital. And anybody that's listening to this, I would encourage you to both reach out to Michael, but also just kind of follow them on Instagram and look at it. Not because I want you to redesign your gym, but there's so many hangups in why they can't do this, and why things are this way, and why they, all these limitations. And then you quite literally build a model that creates all these, like you took a bigger space and turned it into micro spaces, right? And you took all of this stuff and then you gave it to them, and it changes the entire narrative for so many of them. And I think that for a lot of people, just seeing it and experiencing it would be like, maybe my problems are my own bullshit. Right. And I think there's some truth to that.
Yeah. I just always operate with the theory that there's always a better way.
Yeah.
And so even when I'm done here, there's probably something I'm not thinking of. And so I'm never done. And I think it's a mistake to think that you are. I mean, be happy with what you got, but I think if you think that you're done, you've probably stopped advancing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We talked about this, I think, last week in the podcast episode with Nicole, but it's the same thing. And I've said it at every seminar, like, the day you think that you do not need to keep learning, please just quit and leave the business, right? And as insensitive as that was always received by everybody, it's true, right? And I think one of the reasons we always got along, although we're probably because we're both peculiar, we got that going for ourselves. You got way better hair than I do, though. But we very much got along because the central framework that is Fitfiliate is changing the way people see opportunities and limitations, right? That's the central sort of ethos behind it, is changing how people see. And you get it for that reason. And I think as somebody from the outside, I can say that I've experienced and witnessed and been a part of enough of the classes at Downtown Atlanta to know that has infiltrated the day-to-day operations. There is not a one size fits all individualized approach that exists inside that gym. Everybody, Marcus, yourself, everybody that coaches there does have a skill set that appears to really exemplify the ability to think critically, whether that be problem solving or creatively or otherwise. And that part is such a central, big missing piece for so many CrossFit gyms. This, again, we talked about with Nicole, which was, the value of lesson planning, right? It has nothing to do with, writing warm-ups and skills. It has everything to do with developing coaches the ability to think differently about something that is so routinely or mundanely often performed. And I think that you've always kind of understood that and gotten it. And I think that is one other thing that is truly unique about Downtown Atlanta, and the professional sort of exposure everybody there does have to seminar staff for sure is nice.
Yeah.
That's a bit of an outlier though.
Yeah, I can't say everyone should host seminars because that's just not an option for everybody. But if you can get more training, get more training.
Host as many seminars as you do. There's a joke on Michael's internal document about hosting 100 seminars, although he might actually pull that one off. It was only ever meant to be a joke, though.
I'm not far from it.
How many seminars have you hosted, do you think?
Chuck Carswell asked me this about a year ago, and I think I was about 80 then.
I would assume that's right.
So we're approaching 100.
Yeah, I've been there, I think 5 times personally as a seminar.
I think we had 7 seminars, 7 gymnastics seminars here, and you've been 5 of them.
Yeah, I'm a regular. There's just great food around there. I'm always a sucker, and it's very close to the airport, so I can get home from a seminar in Atlanta and sleep in my bed often faster than I can in like a semi-local place, which is always fun for me. Go Atlanta Airport. Anyway, enough about the seminar travels. Back to that sort of. Go ahead.
Everybody.
Why is there no internet?
Yeah, I can hear you. Are you
the
good?
Internet failed me.
Yeah, I can see everyone, hear everyone.
Oh, technology. It's not my friend on this Wednesday or Tuesday for that matter. Now I lost my train of thought, kids. What was I saying?
You said enough about travel. We're talking about
back to
enough about the travel, but back to the seminar thing. So you have a fascination with education. Where did that come from?
Gosh, I don't even know. I always like to ask another question. And so that I always learned better in school when I was able to have a dialogue with the teacher versus just sit there and take notes. And I kind of learned that in high school, and that continued into college. And I just kind of leaned into it. So and same with with wrestling. Wrestling was my sport, and I'd always just ask more questions, like how, why does this move work? What are the things? So whenever I would learn something, I wouldn't just memorize it. Another good example is in math classes. I would never try to memorize a formula. I would always, at the start of each test, I would derive the formula on the top of the sheet so that I had it right there. So when it came up, I would just, go back to whatever it was we were deriving. So having a deeper understanding of anything, I feel allows me to do more with my knowledge. Yeah. So again, it also allows me to have better cues. So when I understand that when you are trying to get the snatch from ground to overhead, it's not necessarily getting it up. It's trying to pull yourself under the bar and land low. I can think, okay, that's kind of like grabbing the in a water slide, grabbing the rail and pulling yourself into it. So just having more knowledge has always made me feel more comfortable. So maybe it's just a matter of, I never think that I'm fully, I'm always asking more questions and getting more because I don't ever have the confidence to think I already know everything.
For sure.
Yeah. So it could be a lack of confidence. But it works.
Well, I mean, whatever the reason is, the pursuit is well intended and certainly well executed. I guess the reason for me asking that is, how do you think that fits in the average coach's journey? Do you think that the average? I mean, you've seen and had enough people attend seminars. Do you feel like there is a representation of that same sort of zeal, so to speak, with most coaches or not?
I will say I think how I approach things is unique, and it took me a while to figure that out as well. You know, when I for the longest time I didn't understand why people didn't see things the way that I see them. There is, I am clinically diagnosed OCD, so there is that. So I view that as a superpower versus
Sure.
it holds me back. But it took me a long time to realize that not everybody sees the world the way I do.
Right.
And so, like, let's take seminars. Although I'll never discount anyone for taking a seminar. It's always a good idea. There's far too many people who I think are looking for letters next to their name versus what they can get out of the course.
Absolutely.
I did something when I took I've already tested for the level 4 once, and I did not pass. I'm doing it again next week. But I had a strategy with that was probably not the smartest strategy to pass, but I think I got a lot out of it. Is I decided I wasn't going to change how I coach for the test because I wanted the feedback on how I coach. And as a result, I got a lot of really good feedback that I have now become a much better coach for my members. And I think if I can apply that feedback towards my next test, which is next week at Roots, I think I'll be better off than if I had just taken the course with the idea that I'm just trying to pass.
Yeah. It's a very powerful realization. And I think hopefully people who are listening to this grasp that there's two types of people who take every seminar and even honestly just pursue their professional journey. Those who seek education and those who seek validation. And I don't think that either of them are malicious in any intention. I don't think anybody seeking, validation does so from, any sort of malice. It's just people have this different idea as to how they're going to get better. And for a lot of people, I think that they believe that through praise is where, excellence is derived from, right? And so they tend to only pursue things and opportunities where they are likely to receive a good job, an attaboy, whatever you want to call it. But the people who advance the fastest and the people who make it the furthest are no doubt the ones, not necessarily that are most obsessed with learning, but are willing to put themselves in a situation where they're willing to fail, right? Not so much, fails maybe not the right word, right? But in a situation where the likelihood of success is certainly questionable at best. And I think you demonstrate that very, very well. And I know that everybody else who's around you does the same thing for that exact reason, whether they are OCD like yourself or not. They very much, you are the brand avatar, so to speak. And so I know that, like, even Marcus is like, put yourself, because I've taught Marcus in seminars and he very much has Michaelisms, right? Michael squaredism. And maybe that's a uniquely inherent Marcus trait, but I think it's cool. And I'm glad that people like yourself do exist in the affiliate landscape. But I think that for the people listening, it's that part of the journey that matters so much, right? Like, willing to go into an L4 test, not seeking, validation, but really seeking an opportunity for feedback, seeking, whatever, that chance to see where they could improve and get uncomfortable. And every single weekend, it was the same thing with seminars, and you for sure crushed that. And my Wi-Fi probably crushed me, so I should probably not talk for so long.
No, you were good.
You were good. You were great. That was the best one yet. It's funny that you say that. Like, a lot of people probably, and that's why I think a lot of people struggled, for example, with the L3 exam, because it's a very arbitrary question and answer. You can't, for people who like to go in and go, well, this is what they're looking for, they couldn't do that. It's very black or white. You either know it or you don't. That's it. Whereas people would go into the L2 and go, this is what they want me to do, so this is what I'm going to do. But you don't grow from that, because that's not how you would normally coach. If you go to your L2 or throughout your L4 and then you don't change anything based on that, you just do what you have to do to get the letters, go back to your affiliate and coaching, and you go back to how you normally do it. You're not,
what have you done?
Are you truly a L2 or an L4? Like, what have you done in that? Or, you're great at passing tests, so you got your L3, but have you done anything with that knowledge that you acquired along the way to get that? Or have you just, okay, I've got this, I can take a test really well, and got by?
I'm not a good test taker.
No,
That's not my
me
forte.
neither.
That's actually not true. I'm actually a much better test taker than I am a student, only because I'm ADD. So I'm like, oh, squirrel. But all jokes aside, I think the thing to end on here is, who's your favorite seminar instructor ever, and why is it me? I'm just kidding.
It's got to be Tony.
I get it. I get that a lot. No, the thing that I do think is, one question, you've experienced a lot of education. What if to end on this, if you were to say, what are the 3 best courses or pieces of content in your professional journey that you found to be the most valuable that you would recommend other coaches consume?
Well, just going from the CrossFit to the base, the level 2.
You don't have to be just CrossFit.
Yeah, but coming around, that's basically where I've been though. The level 2, the gymnastics and the weightlifting, those are easily the 3 I've gotten the most out of. The level 1's obviously a starting point, but once you've taken the level 2, that's just it's such a different course. If you're looking to be a coach, that is really the building. The level 1's just, I love CrossFit. The level 2 is like, okay, now I want to pass my love on to other people. Here's how you do it. The gymnastics course, teaching people how to move their body through space, I think is an invaluable skill that doesn't just have to be in here. It's like having a better understanding of that. And then with the weightlifting, again, in the CrossFit space, those are I think the three different things. But in the weightlifting, understanding how to move your body around, move the barbell around your body, or move your body around the barbell, keeping it close. The 2 things are so evenly matched as far as gymnastics and weightlifting, because it's just, one is a fixed object that you're moving your body around. The other one's a non-fixed object that you're moving your body around. And the instructors I've had in both those have just been great. Kim Trago, who's out of CrossFit North Fulton, usually does the weightlifting seminars here. And I can't speak to anybody else because I haven't had anybody else, but she's just been fantastic with the burger seminars. Yeah.
No, and I think that you've done a great job of collecting that information, no doubt about it. Your ability to articulate and disseminate that information is also, you should be experienced.
I would say the kids course isn't offered anymore live, but that was, I would have put that ahead of weightlifting, only because it's like the level 1.5. If you can teach kids, you can teach anybody. And breaking things down with the kids cues is like, they should just be called cues. And then you just change them a little bit, because the cues that the kids understand, the adults also understand. You just turned it into more of a joke than you do a thing, but then they get it.
Yeah, for sure.
So the kids course was amazing.
Mastery is your ability to teach it to an 8-year-old. That's pretty much what it comes down to. I mean, as annoying as it is coaching children, all children do is grow up to become giant adults. They're just all big kids. That's it. So if you can teach them, you can relate to all those problematic clients that you have. Definitely a hat tip there. But I think that completes this thing. I think we're probably going to re-record it because my internet sucks and there's more things I want to talk about, but it's all right. I'm glad that we got this under our belt. We'll see how this goes. Just be lots of times of me sticking my face like this.
I will make good use of those. Trust me.
Yeah, and I have a lot of stuff. I have a lot of stuff to talk about, so I'm always happy to do this.
I love it.
We will
definitely
have you back on. Thank you for your time, Michael, and look forward to the next one for sure.
All right, guys.